Please take your seats. We got a full house tonight. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Before we get started, our clerk has some business that we need to take care of ahead of time.
Sure. We have a council member who is participating via teleconference this evening. Councilmember Sierra Salmons is ill, which is an emergency circumstance under AB 2449. It allows her to participate remotely in the meeting. An emergency circumstance is a physical or family medical illness that prevents a council member from attending in person. The city council needs to vote to approve Councilmember Sierra Salmons' teleconference participation due to emergency circumstances. Mayor Riddell Harris, may I have a motion?
Yes, I move to authorize Councilmember Sierra Salmons to participate remotely under AB 2449 due to an emergency circumstance.
Second.
Couldn't she just do just cause? It doesn't require voting.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Sierra Salmons.
Aye.
And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye. And then also all of our votes need to be roll call votes this evening.
Yes, I just need to check with Councilmember Sierra Salmons. You need to disclose if you have any individuals 18 years or older present in the room with you.
Good evening, everyone. This is Michelle Sierra Salmons. I'm in my office. I don't have anyone with me in my office, but I do have my husband who's way on the other side of the house, and that's Bill Salmons.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for accommodating me. I really appreciate it. As you can tell, I am not sounding or feeling good, but I really appreciate this accommodation. Thank you.
And we all hope that you feel better soon.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for calling in remotely. All right, moving on. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Here, present.
Amara.
Present.
Holmes.
Present.
Sierra Salmons.
Present.
And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Present. All right, Councilwoman Dowden Calvillo, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, please stand and join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United
States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice.
justice for all.
Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, moving on to the adoption of the agenda. This time is set aside for council members or the public to remove, postpone, or change the listed sequence of the agenda items. The agenda will be approved by consensus of the council. Is there any items that the council would like to change or the public? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Sierra Salmons.
Aye.
And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye. I don't think we have to have a motion because we would do it by,
Yeah, but we don't have to vote. We don't have a motion.
okay, so we do need to do a motion. Okay, we don't normally do
We
it.
just do it without objection, Madam
Also,
Clerk.
because of the teleconferencing.
Oh, okay, so, but we just did,
So we still need,
Motion for.
we'll just,
we're just gonna move forward. Okay,
Okay.
moving on to the consent agenda.
you have a proclamation, Madam
wait.
Mayor.
Oh, I do have a proclamation. Sorry, I missed that. Okay, we have a proclamation this evening. So since we don't have anyone here that's accepting this proclamation, we're just going to read it from the dais. So I will start for our proclamation for Black History Month. This month, we pay homage to the rich history and contributions of Black Americans who have shaped our state and nation in countless ways through centuries of struggle and triumph. First proposed by scholar Carter G. Woodson in 1926, Black History Month lifts up the Black experience in a fuller telling of America's story.
This year's theme, Black Americans in the Arts, celebrates the profound and evolving impact of Black artistry on our culture, national identity, and social movements that have spanned the world over. Through literature, music, architecture, dance, film, and every conceivable medium in between, Black artists and intellectuals have used their talents to honor their heritage, educate and inspire, and open minds and hearts.
Black art has been a powerful agent of change and social uplift throughout our nation's history. Many and varied forms of creative expression have been a pivotal role in opening new dialogues, challenging us to examine hard truths, and inspiring us to work toward something better.
Okay. During Black History Month, let us draw inspiration from this legacy as we continue together on the path towards equality, liberty, and opportunity for all. Our shared history shows us that we rise and fall together, an enduring lesson reflected in the words of Dr. Maya Angelou. The truth is, no one of us can be free until everybody is free.
Now, therefore, I, Rachel Dell Harris, Mayor of the City of Auburn, do hereby proclaim February 24th as Black History Month. Thank you all. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one blanket motion with a roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless persons request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for discussion and separate action. Any items removed will be considered after the motion is approved by the motion to approve the consent calendar. Council, do you have any items you'd like to remove? Oh, yes. Okay.
Item number 2.
That was the same item I had.
Great. Anyone else?
Same here, 2.
2. Okay.
Oh,
Everyone's really excited about the historian. Is there anyone from the public that would like to remove any items? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move.
Oh, wait, do we need public comment? Yes, is there any public comment on the consent calendar as it stands? Okay, now I'm open for a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda, absent number 2.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Sierra Sammons.
Aye.
And Mayor Dell Harris.
Aye. Moving on to item number 2, appoint a volunteer city historian.
Yeah, I just pulled that because I want to give a big shout out to Carol Kramer, who's volunteering to be our city historian. She has a great background and many thanks. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure.
Is she here today?
I think she is.
Yes.
Can you stand up?
There she is.
Thank you so much for volunteering to be our historian.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And I also wanted to thank Carol for stepping up to the plate. This has been a position that's been vacant for quite a while since April stepped down. So really do appreciate your serving on behalf of the city. Thank you so much. Just as a point of actual inquiry for our clerk, I note that the SHAC enabling ordinance establishes a seat for the city historian. So I just wondered if that's a subsequent action we have to formally take, or does she automatically take a seat?
She will automatically take a seat on the SHAC committee and she is aware
Oh,
of this.
Great. So
appointment.
we don't have to appoint her then separately. Wonderful.
Correct.
Thank you very much. And that was all that I had on that item. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Councilman Holmes, did you have something on item number 2?
No, Michelle.
Oh.
I'd like to move to approve.
Hold on, Michelle, do you have anything you wanted to say on item number 2 first?
Excuse me. Yes, I'm just really happy that we have a new historian. Looking forward to meeting you in person. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there tonight. But I'm just really, really excited about this because I know this is something that we really needed in our city. So I'm just looking forward to meeting her and seeing what she can dig up for our city.
And I will just add my thank you as well. Now I'm open for a motion.
All right, well, I'd like to move by resolution to, to appoint Carol Kramer as the City of Auburn historian for a term of 4 years.
All right.
Well, I'll second that.
All right, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden
Oh, wait, we
Calvillo.
need public comment. Oh, is there any public comment on the historian? Sorry. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Sierra Sammons.
Aye.
And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, that's the consent calendar. So we're going to be moving forward with public comment. This is a time provided so that the public may speak to the council on any items that are not on the agenda. Please make your comments as brief as possible, not to exceed 3 minutes. The council cannot act on the items that are not included on the agenda. Items may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Feel free to come up to the podium. Please state your name and you live in the city of Auburn.
They can just take a seat.
Oh, yeah, you can sit down there. If you're all together, you can stand. It's fine. But if you're all, I don't know if you guys are waiting.
Hi,
Okay.
hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay, hi. I'm Sandy and I'm from Placer County. Hello. Thank you so much for having us here and providing time for us to speak to you. We thank you so much for being public servants. And we thank you for having taken your oaths of office to uphold and defend our constitutions. We are coming to you this evening in peace as we the people, to give you notice and instruction so that you and your agents may provide due care. The national lockdown notice has already been given to 50 state governors, to the President of the United States, to the Supreme Court, to the United States Senate and the United States Congress. We are now giving you a copy. Last month, we learned that the federal government, in alignment with the World Health Organization, has announced an amendment of credible threat of a public health emergency. Their expanding countermeasures now include both Ebola and Marburg viruses, an extension of liability immunity to manufacturers, distributors, program planners, qualified persons and their officials, agents, and employees. We have included this report in our notice envelope just given to you. We have also learned that the government was never granted any authority to lock down the people, even in times of emergency. The main object of government is the protection and preservation of personal rights, private property, and public liberties. The government just serves for our benefit as public officers, trustees, and servants of the people. We are also attaching a list of unalienable rights, which includes the right to accept or refuse any medical treatment for any reason. Since this council has a history of putting the city under health emergency orders for extended periods of time, we are very concerned that another round of involuntary lockdowns and health orders could occur in our fair city.
Hi, I'm Debbie Woolley from We the People. Please take notice that all states in our Republican form of government have sworn to protect the individual liberty as a condition to be hired as trustees. The people of America are all guaranteed to have the same rights in all the states. As an elected official, do you believe it's your duty to always protect the natural rights of the people so they are guaranteed enjoyment of all their natural rights? Or do you believe that in some time of panic or emergency that you can remove the people's rights to freely exercise liberty, movement, worship, commerce, or any other purpose that is lawful? If so, please show constitutional authority where you get that power, posting the granted authority conspicuously within the next 15 days, notifying the public and all agents. If you cannot show where you get this authority and you take any action blocking the people's rights to enjoy freedom, then any lockdown, mandate, or forced use of any medical device will be construed as being done with malice, intent, full knowledge and understanding against your trust indenture, your contract with the people. That would be the Constitution. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Catherine McBride, and I'm a resident of the city of Auburn. And I'm just here to support Sandy Marquez and Debbie Woolley in their what they're speaking of. And I agree with everything. And thank you for your service. Okay.
My name is Lee Fryer, resident of Placer County as well. Yeah, I'm very grateful that they prepared this notice and read it, and I just want to support them. I'm standing here in support of the notice. Very concerned that if we have another health emergency or health situation, that be carried out with consideration to the implications to everyday people. Things like lockdowns, mandated vaccinations, these have repercussions. And I just urge each one of you to avail yourself of all the information out there, be it safety of vaccine or some kind of other remedy, and then also just the economic impact of lockdowns. Thank you.
Good evening, Rich Miller, State Director for American Alliance for Medical Cannabis. I am also the Advisory Council for California for Americans for Safe Access. And I work for Therapeutic Alternatives, Director of Education and Outreach. I'm sorry I could not attend the last meeting that you had that addressed the cannabis use. It is something that I have spoken this chamber on many times in the past. I'm glad to see the diocese changed and we're moving forward and looking at the possibility of bringing patients access to their medicine. In addition to patients having access, I think it's fair to have adult use for patients as well, because medical cannot survive on its own without the help of adult use. The reason why I come to you today is because my family lives in this county and I have family in Auburn, and access has been denied in this county for some time. I've come to you offering an olive branch as I've done extensive research and have worked in the cannabis space, working with HIV and AIDS patients, starting at the passage of Prop 215 in 1996 with Dennis Peron in San Francisco. I have continued working with those patients for the last almost 30 years. And in the last 10 years, I have been in management of a dispensary in Sacramento that has been highly regarded as a medical facility as well as an adult use. I've worked with this county to try to bring access to patients in this county, and it was denied. I worked with Becky Riggins. I worked with Mr. Hudsinger, as well as John Holmes and various other board supervisors that are no longer on the board. I am here to help you. I am here to give you a chance to come and look at a dispensary that is highly regarded by the state, as we have worked with the state and the Department of Cannabis Control. That dispensary's been open since 2009. It has been regulated by the city of Sacramento for 10 years and for 5 years with the state regulatory. We have an opportunity to move forward here in a positive direction, and I think the city can do some benefit to the community as well as have a safe environment. Dispensaries have been shown to be very safe with their security precautions in place, and children do not have access, so there is no worry there. You actually have a worse chance of children getting alcohol or cigarettes from a grocery store than you are to ever even see a child in a dispensary. I appreciate all the work and effort that is going to go in forward with this. I would ask that you work with the county, because they do have all the information. I will leave my cards with you here today. My doors are open to you. I'm going to give you the good, bad, and the ugly. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give you everything you need to know, and you can have any references you'd like. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for allowing us to speak. I'm here to support what Sandy Marquise and Debbie shared with you about the lockdowns and about the constitutional authorities. Everything they said, I support as well. I'm a resident of Placer County, and I don't want to see what happened before happen to us, the people, again. So thank you for your time.
Would you like to state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name's Deborah Grinder.
you.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. My name is Sarah Liebert. I'm the president of the Auburn Union Teachers Association. I'm a parent of a high schooler. I reside in Auburn. This is my home. I have come to you tonight with a heavy heart full of concerns about AUSD. The idea to change our schools into a TK-8 without an actual plan is alarming. We do not have any data on the finances that it would cost to relocate students and staff, to add playgrounds, to add more supplies. And more basically, what does it look like in a regular day? Are they going to have kindergartners and TKers having lunch with 7th and 8th graders? What about our students that receive special ed services? What about our low-income students? Are they going to have access? What about our ELD students? I have many concerns, as does the community. The community came together and signed a petition with over 1,400 signatures at this point to ask these questions and to ask the district to pause. My ask tonight from you is to help us gain clear transparency and communication in this move. The district needs to have multiple conversations with stakeholders to create ownership and success for this and not interrupt our students' education. This is not only an AUSD issue, it's an Auburn issue. We want families to come and buy homes. We want children to be in our schools. This lack of planning and communication is making families leave the area and choose elsewhere to live and work. Please help us, work with us to create this new plan to resolve and move forward together with clear and transparent communication. Respectfully, Sarah Liebert. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? One more. Oh, from the chief.
Public comment.
Well, I get to use this opportunity, Madam Mayor and City Council members, Ryan Canan, the Chief of Police here for the City of Auburn. And tonight we get to introduce two of our newest hires. You'll see here next to me is we have Ashpreet Mathfalu, who is our final officer vacancy that we currently have right now. So she's filling that. And then next to her, we have Kimberly Aranda, who also is our community service officer. So both these women have come to us here in the City of Auburn from Sacramento and Lodi area. Both of them have college degrees, and both of them continue to aspire to, obviously with Ashpreet, she joins the law enforcement profession, and Kimberly comes in as a community service officer with goals and aspirations of also getting to be a police officer. So again, tonight, we just want to take the opportunity to introduce them to you and apparently a full crowd. And then tomorrow morning, we will introduce them again. Their families will be here, and we will be able to do an actual swearing in ceremony and a pinning ceremony for both of them. So again,
Welcome, ladies.
Welcome. Yes. It's a big crowd. It's a little intimidating. All right. Is there any other public comment? Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment and I'm going to open the public hearing. Madam Clerk, I think that you're on for the public hearing.
Absolutely. Every 2 years, the city is required to review the Conflict of Interest Code, including designated positions and disclosure categories. Employment positions have been added, eliminated, or renamed since the current code was adopted. There are 2 commissions and 1 committee being added to the code this year. While advisory boards are not typically required to be included in the Conflict of Interest Code, this is not uncommon among other cities and is recommended by our legal staff to include these positions due to their recommendations being routinely approved by the City Council. There is a minimal fiscal impact with these proposed changes, and the number of filers for 700 form is doubling, so the filing software annual cost will increase. That is the end of my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Good. Public, is that public testimony? No? We have to, I'm sorry, this is kind of a different one for,
So assuming that there's no questions from council, Madam Mayor, you need to open up the public hearing, take public comment for the public hearing,
okay.
close the public hearing once we're done with public comments, and then deliberate on the item.
Okay, so questions from council first. Are there any questions?
No questions from me.
Yes, I want a point of clarification. Is the planning commission included in this?
They already do it. Planning commission already fills. it.
Yeah, they are an 87-200 filer and are in the existing code and in the proposed code as
Okay,
well.
thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, these are just the additions.
Mhm.
Okay, that's right. No more? Okay, so then we're opening up to public comment on this issue. Is there any public comment on this hearing? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to council.
I just wanted to say I appreciate the thorough scrub on this and I'm supportive of it. So thank you.
Okay.
I'll by resolution approve the revised conflict of interest code.
And I'll second.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Sierra Sammons.
Aye.
And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye. Thank you. All right, that motion carries. Moving on to council business. Item number 6, the employment agreement for the finance director position.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So in your packet, you have the staff report and the draft contract for Gretchen Johnson. So as council knows, we reorganized the finance department from administrative services to just finance specifically. Doing that was kind of precipitated by the departure of our administrative services director. So the city went out to recruitment for that new finance director position, which council previously approved. We received a number of different applications, and the one that rose to the top was Gretchen Johnson. So I'll get just a little bit of background quickly on her, and then I'll run through the kind of salient points of the contract itself. So Gretchen has a Bachelor of Science degree in business management and an associate's science degree, business administration and accounting. So we had finance director with a finance degree background. Her work experience is specific to Placer County. So she's worked at Placer County since 1999 in the facilities management department as the administrative and fiscal operations manager, CEO's office as a management analyst, Auditor Controller's Office as Administrative Services Officer, and then in Child Support Services as a supervisor. So her progressive experience through the organization, getting higher and higher fiscal responsibility is really what, attracted us to Gretchen with her experience there. I'll note too that I believe that the facilities management office I think might have more staff than our city does, just for that one department. So back to the contract itself. Salient points of the contract include annual salary of $162,227. Cell phone allowance of $90 per month. The remaining points are consistent with the other director contract. So cell phone allowance of $90 per month, city paid contribution to deferred compensation of 1% of the annual base salary, automobile allowance of $300 a month, and then the typical CalPERS health, dental, vision benefits as other department directors. We're required to report out the total compensation cost. That is right around $217,000. And that's it. I can answer any questions you have. I can tell you from the management team, we're very much looking forward to having Gretchen get started. Our start date is actually March 4th. So she'll be, assuming the council adopts the resolution approving the contract, she'll give notice tomorrow to the county, and their losses are gained for sure. I can answer questions if you have any.
Counselor, are there any questions?
Is she here?
She is here.
Oh, good.
We should make her come up to the podium.
Yes, there she is. Welcome.
I didn't tell her that we were going to make her come up to the podium, but she's a good sport.
She jumped up. That was-
It's always good to be able to put a name with.
Yeah, right. You got to be nimble.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, Madam Clerk. I'm Gretchen, as Sean mentioned, and I am extremely excited to join the team in Auburn. I'm looking forward to doing great things using my past knowledge and experience, and my 20 years of just being a local resident too is going to definitely be a benefit here, and very excited. And I look forward to furthering what Auburn already is as a great community and wonderful place to play and work. So thank you very much for your consideration and the approval of this contract. And I guess that is it for now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I'll add that she does live in the city.
An added
Very
bonus.
nice.
Yes.
She lives in.
Added bonus.
Oh, in
All
the
right.
city.
Is there any more conversation from the council? Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council for a motion.
I'll move approval by resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into an employee agreement with Gretchen Johnson for the position of finance director.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes. Sarah Sammons.
Aye.
Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye. All right, welcome. Okay, moving on to the next item, employment agreement for the fire chief position. I think there's a few people in the crowd for that one.
Yeah, right.
I'm guessing that probably the majority are here for that.
Me
huh?
too.
So this is a cool one for me to be able to do. Before you in your packet is the draft employment agreement with John Rogers, who's been serving as the interim fire chief since, I think, September. Yes, September. So John, for folks who don't know, grew up in Auburn, went to Auburn elementary schools from kindergarten on, started his career with the Auburn Fire Department, I think at 18 as a volunteer, worked his way up to battalion chief, and now we're bringing him forward to fill the vacant fire chief job, which to me is an amazing story about this community and just about him specifically. So I got to go through the same process about the benefits and all that stuff that we're required to do. So John's annual salary would be starting at $180,000, cell phone allowance of $90 per month, city paid contribution to deferred compensation of 1% of the annual base salary, city provided automobile because he's the fire chief and he has to do fire stuff. CalPERS health, dental, vision benefits as other department directors. And then his total compensation runs up to $241,000. There's an amended contract actually that was posted to the website that clarified a contract issue that did not carry over from the draft to the final version. So you have a copy of that, and that was also posted to the website as well. Yes, ma'am.
Our staff report says less. 217.
I think that might be.
Is that the old version?
I think that's Gretchen's.
Oh, you might be looking at Gretchen's rather than that.
Oh, am I looking
Yeah.
at Gretchen's? I'm sorry. Okay. Yes,
Couple more pages.
wrong page.
Yep.
I see it. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, are there any other questions for our city manager on this item? Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. You want to do for comments?
I was just gonna say, I'm just really excited that we're taking this step tonight. So with that, I would be very happy to, by resolution, move that we authorize the city manager to enter into an employee agreement with John Rogers for the position of fire chief.
And I will second that, but I also want to say that I know him very well. I knew his mom and dad very well, so I know he comes from a good stock.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw him grow up.
And I'm also very excited about having John. I think he's a huge asset to the city, so.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Sarah Sammons.
Aye.
Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye. Congratulations.
Madam Mayor, since John is here and he and his family is here as well, I think it would be good for us to swear him in, and then we actually have his badge Penny.
Yes. let's
Ready
do
to
that.
go with his children doing that.
Sounds great.
That'd be
Let's
great.
proceed.
Mayor, Council, first of all, John Rogers, your fire chief now. And I want to say, it's an honor to be standing here. Sorry. Thanks to my family, friends, and colleagues for coming out here tonight with the support. It means a lot.
You got this.
Look, you're gonna make it.
I'm not normally an emotional guy, but this is super, super touching to be here. And like I said before, I'm super honored and I look forward to serving the citizens of Auburn. So I'm really appreciative to be here. So my son William, 16, sophomore at Placer High School, and my daughter Sadie,
Don't look at it.
14 in the 8th grade at iLearn Academy. I want them to pin my badge tonight.
Yes, correct. His brother is going to be giving him the oath of office.
And my brother Ronnie Ralston's a federal police officer from El Paso, Texas, works for Customs and Border Protection.
Come on, get it. Yeah.
Solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of California. And the Constitution of the State of California. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States. I will bear faith and true allegiance to the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of California. And the Constitution of the State of California. I take this obligation freely. I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation. Without any mental reservation. For purpose of evasion. For purpose of evasion. I will faithfully discharge the duties of fire chief. I will faithfully discharge the duties of fire chief. In and for the city of Auburn. In and for the city of Auburn. County of Placer. County of Placer. State of California. State of California. According to the best of my ability. According to the best of my ability.
Yay.
Okay. Oh.
So now my emotions have stopped a little bit. I also want to thank the city manager, Sean, for all of his support and having faith in me to do this job.
So as a token of Tony's and my appreciation for you and your continued leadership, mentorship, and guidance, especially over the last 6 months, we got you a gift. You know how you like gifts. So I'd like to present this.
Congratulations, Chief.
Congratulations from all of us. I think we're going to take a 5-minute break and then we'll be back at 6:45. So. All right. Everyone can take their seats. We're gonna come back. Menjel Dean, take your seats.
Just pound your gavel.
Menjel.
Mr. Public Works.
Mr. Public Works, please have a seat. We're nice and casual here at City of Auburn. I know. I could have. I was trying to be. Yeah, that's true. I don't use my gavel.
You got to use that gavel, Madam Mayor. There.
All right. All right, moving on to item number 8, introduction of the first reading of the ordinance adding section 100.71 of the Auburn Municipal Code, defensible space inspections, requests, and disclosure.
That's okay.
Chief?
I'm like, what? Where is it?
Good evening again, Mayor, Council. John Rogers, your fire chief. So this evening, we're following up on the November 13th presentation that included direction to staff to bring a defensible space inspection ordinance back to you. So tonight is the introduction and first reading for an ordinance to add section 100.71 to chapter 100 of Title 9 of the Auburn Municipal Code. The proposed ordinance is in line with Assembly Bill 38 and the California Civil Code and requires property owners to obtain documentation of compliance with state laws and local vegetation management ordinances prior to the sale, exchange, or transfer of real property within the very high fire hazard severity zones as identified by CAL FIRE in their Fire and Resource Assessment Program map. And that was included with the staff report. The very high fire hazard severity zone includes approximately 650 homes along the eastern boundary of Auburn, directly adjacent to the American River Canyon. The ordinance mandates sellers provide both the buyer and the fire department with a copy of documentation prior to the completion of sale, exchange, or transfer of real property. The defensible space inspection can be completed by the fire department up to 1 year prior to the sale, exchange, or transfer of real property, and also allows the seller to obtain documentation from a qualified third party. And a qualified third party would be a person or company that is in possession of a City of Auburn business license and performs inspections utilizing the Public Resources Code, the California Fire Code, and the City of Auburn Municipal Code. Per the proposed ordinance, it's the seller's responsibility to bring the property into compliance prior to the sale, exchange, or transfer. And if the property is not in compliance, the seller will be required to bring the property into compliance within a reasonable amount of time and no longer than 30 days after receiving documentation of non-compliance. That's the end of my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Council, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have just a quick question. I'm sorry, Chief, did you indicate that the fee is a $200 fee? Is that, did you, for the?
Oh, I didn't cover that in my report, but per our fee schedule, the initial inspection is $211.
211.
Yep,
Okay.
and if there's a inspection does not pass and we have to come out and do a re-inspection, it's $114 for us to re-inspect the property.
Okay, initial is 211 and then to re-inspect is, what'd you say,
114.
114? These different numbers, okay. I do have a suggestion. Thank you very much for that clarification. Thank you very much for clarifying what constituted a qualified third party, because that is one of the questions that I posed to our city manager today. I didn't know what that was. What I'd like to do is to have the ordinance actually have a footnote that cited those sections of law. And I maybe am referring to the attorney on this, just so that it's clear in the ordinance what constitutes that third party for the purposes of the ordinance, just to have a footnote citing the definition that the chief provided.
I think at this point, we can either direct staff to come back with that at the next meeting, or we may be able to amend it with that and bring it back for a second reading. But depending on where does this come from?
I think that we should be able, if the footnote is related to law, existing law, it seems like we should just be able to put the footnote in with direction of council time, bring it back for the second reading.
I think so.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd like to do, just for clarification purposes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm fine with that. Is everyone fine? Okay. Councilman Holmes, did you have a question?
Well, I have a question about, do we have a,
Mr. Holmes, is your mic on?
You might want to bring it a little closer. It's harder to hear you.
dancing in the dark? Do we have a map of the city that identifies these very high fire hazard severity zones?
That's in the agenda, correct?
Councilman Holmes, the FRAP map is attached to the agenda. It's kind of small, but it is included in the packet.
Yeah, I saw that, but it doesn't, it's kind of vague as to what,
Maybe a color version, so that way, because it's hard to tell the difference between the different colors.
In our hard
Black-
copies,
We have a
it's
black
black
and
and
white
white,
version.
that's why. So perhaps you can just have a colored copy and put it in our boxes, just, that would be great if somebody could do that.
Yeah, we can forward a color copy to you.
Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions? Is there any public comment on this? Please. I know, she's coming. Yeah, you can just step to the podium. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounded rather expensive, especially if you, as a property owner, end up failing the first inspection. So I'm just wondering if this ordinance is going to clearly indicate what those types of things that a property owner needs to satisfy in order to help them successfully pass the first inspection. I don't know if that's included, but that would be one of my concerns if I was, being a property owner and selling something.
So Chief, would there be some kind of checklist or something that would make it clear what needs to be done in order to rectify any issues that you may find?
So our defensible space requirements are included in our municipal code. And I think what we can do is post a checklist if there is not one already on our website, along with a color copy of the map. I know that our community risk reduction manager, Lindsay Davidson, has been working with our GIS company to try and get some better maps made to support the project.
Okay, great. Thank you. Do you have a public comment?
What's good, y'all? My name is Victor Allen. I had a follow-up question regarding the ordinance. So I'm curious, I understand this is a one-time one-time investigation, inspection regarding the sale of real property, but is there annual maintenance that needs to be taken into account regarding the fire hazard zone?
So that's a question posed to City Council. So Madam Mayor, if you'd like, you can ask staff to provide an answer or not.
Chief, can you refer to annual? I think this is just, as far as I understand it, it's just during the sale because it's required by law to be done during the sale. And then if there was any annual maintenance, that would be covered in a different way, correct?
Yeah, and so the purpose of the inspection with the discussions that we've had with our city attorney is the seller turned the property over to the buyer with a compliant property. And then if you remember back to November, part of the project that we were working on was to do a educational assessment program with some of our external stakeholders, which we're currently in the middle of moving that project forward. And then we could end up providing our residents with some education based on how to continue to maintain compliance.
And I know I've in the past gotten a postcard from the fire department saying, hey, you might want to do these certain things. And
Yeah, we've
fix
done
up
a
your
bunch
house.
of different things, mailers, and we've actually gone out and put stuff on people's doors and things like that. So we're still trying to work through that process.
Okay, great. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to bring it back to the council. Is there any other comments before we hear a motion? Okay, I'm open for a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion since I was going to suggest the amendment. So I'll make a motion that we introduce by title only and waive the first reading of the ordinance with the suggested change, adding section 100.71 to chapter 100 of Title 9 of the Auburn Municipal Code requiring defensible space inspections and disclosures prior to the sale, exchange, or transfer of real property within the very high fire hazard severity zone.
Second.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara. Yes. Holmes.
Aye.
Sarah Sammons.
Aye.
Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 9, the electric vehicle charging facilities and capabilities within the city of Auburn. Benjel Dean.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, honorable council members. My name is Benjel Dean, your Public Works Director. This evening, I'm going to have our projects and transit manager, well, your project and transit manager, give you a bit of information about our EV charging infrastructure in the city of Auburn and our local surrounding area. I think this is going to be educational for all. So like the council and the general public could get a better understanding of the things that we have available to us currently and what we could possibly do into the future. With that, I would like to introduce Natalie Hampton, our transit/project manager.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. So like Mental Dean said, my name is Natalie Hampton. I'm the project transit manager for the city, and today I'm going to be talking about some EV charging within the city of Auburn. Let's get started. So just a few key points I'll be touching on today. We're going to be talking about some public EV charging locations within Placer County and the city's sphere of influence. Some public EV charging locations within Auburn city limits. I'm going to talk about some statistics that we pulled from city-owned ChargePoint EV charging stations, some City of Auburn EV fleet charging locations, and some potential future charging locations within Old Town Auburn and Downtown Auburn for the public. So here's a map that shows the EV charging locations within Placer County's jurisdiction that kind of fall in the City of Auburn's sphere of influence. We have Target up on Bell and 49, a frequent kind of commercial area that city residents go to every day, every week. The other notable one will be the Foothills Bowl parking lot with, I think, over 10 Tesla chargers. Something to note about all three of these locations, including Motel 6 off of I-80 as well, is that all of these are privately owned and operated locations. So within Auburn city limits, for public EV charging, we have 11 locations. The blue locations are going to be privately owned. The 3 green locations are going to be owned and maintained by the City of Auburn. One thing to note about those, all 3 of those city-owned and operated locations are going to be also on city-owned and maintained properties. A lot of public charging locations in commercial locations like Save Mart, your Holiday Inn, we have Max's there, and In-N-Out Burger, a high traffic area right off of Interstate 80. The majority of the blue stars to the left of the map are going to be for employment centers, the Placer County offices, the Creekside Business Park. And then the 3 owned and operated locations by the city are going to be in good locations for downtown and Old Town visitors. The location at the train station is thought to be utilized by people utilizing the services of the Multimodal Nevada train station, leaving their cars there, commuting down to parts of South Placer County or even Sacramento County for work. So here's just a little bit of metadata that coincides with the map. As you can tell, the majority of the public charging stations in the city are going to be level 2 slow chargers. We only have 3 locations that include DC fast chargers. The level 2 chargers are considered slow chargers. Those are kind of your everyday chargers that can give you about 20 to 80 miles on 60 minutes of a charge. So more for long-term charging, overnight charging, things like that. DC fast charging is more for long distance travel, road trips, kind of a quick one-stop. You can get about 80% of your battery full with about 30 minutes of charging. So that's going to be much more conducive for people who kind of need to get in and get out. So from our 3 city-owned EV charging locations, first the train station parking lot, we have 1 Clipper Creek level 2 slow charger. This was installed in 2014. And this location was thought to benefit commuters utilizing services through the multimodal station. And this charger was partially funded by the Placer County Air Pollution Control District Clean Air Grant, or more commonly known as the Carl Moyer Grant. Same thing with the City Hall parking lot. We currently only have 1 level 2 slow charger there. again installed in 2014. This location is pretty unique because it's in very close proximity to both downtown and Old Town Auburn. And once again, it was funded by the Carl Moyer Grant. And then our last city-owned location is the Cherry Magnolia parking lot, where we have 4 ChargePoint DC fast chargers. Those were installed in both 2019 and 2021. This location is incredibly close to the downtown Auburn business district area, and it's thought to benefit visitors going and shopping and dining in that area. Once again, partially funded through the Carl Moyer Grant with the Pollution Control District. So ChargePoint chargers have a great capability to gather data from charging sessions. So from the 4 that we have at the Cherry Magnolia parking lot, I pulled some lifetime stats. So through the life of these chargers, we've seen 3,715 charging stations, and we just saw a record high of 191 charging sessions for the month of December 2023. So it's pretty cool. Maybe people getting together for the holidays, people shopping local, could be contributed to those large number of charging sessions. The average charging session for these 4 are about 36 minutes, which definitely matches the capability of a quick charge, about 30 minutes to reach about 80% battery. We've used a total of about 70.5 megawatt hours of energy, and we've seen a total greenhouse gas emission savings of over 50,000 kilograms. So now we're going to turn our focus to our fleet charging capabilities within the city. We have 2 locations right now where we can charge our fleet vehicles. It's going to be at the City Corporation Yard off of Blocker Drive and at the Auburn Wastewater Treatment Plant off of Ophir Road. And then here's just some metadata about those locations. We have 8 total charging stations at the Corporation Yard. That's going to kind of be our main hub to support our EV fleet as we start to transition that way in the coming years. And then the wastewater treatment plant, we have 3 chargers there, 1 DC fast and 2 level 2. So a little bit about those 2 locations. Currently, we have 2 ChargePoint and 2 BTC DC fast chargers at the City Corporation Yard. They were installed in 2020 and 2023. And once again, they were partially funded by that Carl Moyer Grant. As far as slow chargers, we have 2 Tesla and 2 Enphase slow chargers, all installed in 2023. And these chargers currently support the charging for 2 EV buses and 2 Teslas that we have in our transit fleet. Very cool stuff. Our city wastewater treatment plant, we installed 1 fast charger and 2 level 2 slow chargers as part of the 2023 solids dewatering project. And then these charging stations will support EV vehicles and equipment within the sewer department as the city starts their transition. So now, in terms of potential locations for EV charging, this map shows you the Old Town Business District in the light yellow and the public Auburn parking lots that reside in that district. So parking lot number 1 is the U lot, kind of above Old Town off of Park Street. That lot has 44 parking spaces, nice and spacious. Lot number 2, the Law Library lot on Lincoln, just south of Court Street by the courthouse. Also 44 parking spaces, and that lot does have ADA parking available. And then I think our largest city lot, number 3, the Jury lot, right off of Auburn Folsom Road, has 84 parking spaces and also has ADA parking available. So now we have a lot more lots that are located in the downtown business district. All of them are along Lincoln Way and High Street, which is great since that's kind of where the meat and potatoes commercial core is within that district. The first lot in that district is going to be the School Park Preserve lot off of College and Auburn Folsom. Pretty small lot, you have 21 spaces and you do have ADA parking available. The second lot, number 2, is the City Hall parking lot. It's going to be here, Lincoln Way and Highway 49. We have 48 parking spaces available. We do have ADA parking. This is the lot that houses all of the fleet vehicles that City Hall employees utilize. And currently we do have one level 2 charger present in the corner of the lot. The third lot is the Elders lot on Lincoln Way near Central Square. Pretty popular location within the downtown business district. You have 50 parking spaces there with ADA parking available. Lot number 4, just north of Elders Lot, is going to be the parking lot behind Central Square. The entrance of that is off of East Placer Street. There you have 24 parking spaces available, and only a portion of this lot is actually city owned. The lot in its entirety is owned by the public and some of those business owners in Central Square. Lot number 5 is the East Placer lot, located off of East Placer and High Street. You have 45 parking spaces available there, along with ADA parking. Number 6, tiny lot near Depot Bay, 22 parking spaces near High Street and Kenmas. Lot number 7, the Bradshaw parking lot, Lincoln and just north of Cleveland Avenue. You have 40 parking spaces with ADA parking available. And as part of our last overlay project, this lot did see a full 2-inch overlay. So that one has gotten a much needed facelift, much more easily accessible for the public. And then the last one on here, number 8, Cherry Magnolia parking lot on the corner of Cherry and Magnolia Avenues. A pretty big lot, 55 parking spaces available with ADA parking. And this is currently where our 4 public ChargePoint DC fast chargers are present. So that's kind of a basic overview of what is existing and kind of locations that have some good potential for us to incorporate some more EV charging. And that's all I have. So thank you for the time. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them for you.
Thank you, Natalie, for your presentation. Councilor, are there any questions? Sandy? Or Councilman Navarro?
So I charge my car at home, but so I don't know, how much does it cost to charge, to use a level 1 and a level 2?
So the pricing
Level
is
4.
So the pricing is usually set by whoever owns the chargers. 2 of our locations are free to charge, and some of them cost, I think, what did we set the pricing at? 35 cents per kilowatt hour.
Kilowatt hour. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and same for the fast charger?
So yes, so that 35 cents, it's,
Yeah.
apologize, Ben
Yeah.
Kildine, Public Works Director. So that 35 cents is for the DC fast charger. The level 2 chargers that we have here in City Hall and at the Nevada Street Station are completely free.
Oh,
to the
yeah.
public.
Okay, okay.
They take
And-
a long time.
And what?
They take a while to charge.
Yes,
That's
I know.
longer. Yeah, yeah.
Slow charger. Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Don Covio, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I do appreciate the information and it's good to have this data and I appreciate it. I know that the city's working with Tesla also to determine appropriate places for them to come in and we certainly support that very much because those are cars that can come in. Having met with Tesla during my tenure as mayor, they had noted that their facility by the polling station, that during the busy time, they would receive 8,000 chargers a month. A month. We can just get 1,000 extra a month.
The one by the Rayleighs down in Loomis is also
Yeah.
packed most of the time.
But that one by the Foothill Bowl, they said is their highest producing station in the region, I believe. So, but Jonathan is, I don't know if that was, remember that, but
One of the first ones on your way down the hill after you've gone up to the.
that's right.
Yep.
Yep. So that could be coming to the city limits. Like it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Holmes, do you have any questions?
Well, I think the questions that I had have been asked. I guess of the city-owned EV charging stations, what have we made as far as any money?
So I can certainly speak to that. So because we are a government agency, we technically cannot necessarily make any money off of this. What we should be doing is recouping our costs, and that's kind of what we set our pricing structure to do, is to recoup the cost so that the electricity that's being utilized isn't being a burden to the community. We're just offsetting costs.
So are we said it before we started. Are we doing that then?
Yes, we continuously monitor it. I think we've changed it a couple times over the last few years. We're gonna revisit it. As you know, PG&E has recently raised their rates, so we do have to unfortunately increase that ever so slightly, but we'll just make that determination based off of usage and what we're being charged.
Councilwoman Sierra Salmons, do you have anything?
Nothing that was already asked, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this is what I do for my daytime job, so I'm gonna ask a few questions. So one of the things I've asked you about, Menjo, a couple times is having a plan, because just putting in chargers sometimes can lead to problems because you end up putting in chargers that you may not need, or at the level that you don't need, or sometimes there's some issues with trying to set your, especially fleet, so it's off peak, so you don't end up with capacity issues and capacity charges. So how's it going with trying to figure out a plan instead of just putting them kind of in however we feel like?
Thank you so very much for that question. That is a fantastic question, because the reality is, as part of this council agenda, you'll notice that we do have for your next item, the authorization for the city manager to negotiate for the energy services ESCO. So what we're going to do is take a comprehensive look at the city and let that be the guiding document for the plan moving forward. We noted everything that you've said in the past, and that's why you'll notice that over the past few installations, they've been at our corporation yard and places that we're going to utilize. So also, as part of this agenda on the consent calendar, you guys, council, approved the first electric vehicle for our operations for our wastewater treatment plant. As Natalie mentioned, we've already put in some chargers there, anticipating that this is the direction we're going. The city has a requirement to purchase 50% of our vehicles be electric this year. That vehicle is our first step towards that. You'll see over the next couple months, we'll roll out the operational side of things and start to get those vehicles up to speed. But we're going to hope ultimately through our ESCO process, should council approve this, that's going to be the guiding document as to where we put these chargers.
So I will say ESCO folks and folks who can do fleet planning are two different skill sets. So I'm not going to say that the ESCO folks will be able to give you what you need or have the skill sets you need to plan your.
No, absolutely. And that's where staff is going to step in and supplement that.
Okay.
Yes.
We may need an actual consultant who has fleet experience to kind of help us out too. So just food for thought.
Sure.
Okay. When you were talking about potential sites, you talked a lot about there being ADA compliant places, but I know that that's been the big barrier for a lot of installations for EVs, because even if they were ADA, they're most likely not ADA now, and you have to do upgrades in order to be compliant with current ADA. Is that the case for most of these locations, and how expensive do we anticipate that being? Sorry.
No, absolutely. Another fantastic question. So to your point, that is primarily why we haven't rolled out chargers at all these locations. That's another reason, taking into consideration that we still have to do some sort of study to determine where it should go. But the ADA challenges exist. There's a primary reason why we haven't put in more here at City Hall, because we know we have to make some upgrades to our parking lot in order to make that happen. But ultimately, that's going to be the council's decision what kind of financial commitment we have to do. I'll say that there are some lots that we can roll it out now, i.e. the Auburn Folsom Jury parking lot, but then there are some that are not necessarily that easy, and that would be like any of the lots really off of Lincoln Way or High Street. So those are things we have to consider.
Okay. When we do any kind of major pavement work in any of our parking lots, I hope that we would consider putting in conduit while we're doing that work too, because it's so much cheaper to put it while you're doing the paving work than after.
Yeah, we're always forward thinking in that arena. So any place that we do work, we know that there's an ADA component associated with it. There's also the ability and the need to put in electrification. So we're already on that path.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'm looking at all my questions. Do we have any, I love that people can do shopping and things while at Old Town and downtown locations. Not everyone wants to get that far off the freeway. Do we have anything closer to the freeway where people, because like the bowling alley is right off the freeway, and so is the one in Loomis, and that's what people a lot of times want. So if we looked at, even if, I don't know, maybe it's even talking about parking lots we don't own and trying to get some people, like, I don't know, where Elm Avenue or something, so it's like an easy on and off. Do we have any interest in doing anything like that from Tesla, or have we talked to folks about that?
So do we have interest in doing this? Absolutely. So as Natalie may have mentioned as part of her presentation, our ability to install the chargers means that we also have to maintain them, specifically if we're using grant funds for it. Grant funds only allow us to install them on properties that we own. While we can do things to incentivize property owners to kind of move in that direction, the city doesn't physically own any real property that's along the freeway. We are trying to find ways to get creative with property owners so that they can move in that direction.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, just as a point of follow-up for that, with all due respect, I totally appreciate your looking out for the driver, you know, and their ability to want to just get on and off. But selfishly, as a council member,
That's why I said I value them going in town and shopping, but I also don't want to lose the tax dollars from all that charging either
Yeah,
by missing all those folks who don't want to
don't
go
want
in
to
and
way
shop.
out, but yeah.
So I think having both options would be
yeah.
preferable. Are we looking at turning our dumb chargers into smart chargers so that way we can collect some revenue from them and be able to get some information and data off of them? And also possibly, we've got some folks that just hang out at them for long periods of time. So if we could create fees for just hanging out after your charge, that would be good too.
Yeah, so the Clipper Creek kind of older chargers that we have here and at the train station, we'd like to eventually upgrade those to charge point chargers. Same with the BTC chargers that are at the courtyard. We'd like to just, for the sake of unity and just a comprehensive overlook of the usage and the patterns that we're seeing with these, we do want to put them all on the same kind of network, which would be ChargePoint. So yeah, there are plans to upgrade the ones that are not ChargePoint currently.
Okay, great. I think that was pretty much it. Oh, one last thing. If we're gonna put any chargers in places where there is any of our facilities like it here, I would hope we would look at workplace charging as well. A lot of facilities are doing workplace/public, so they're workplace charging exclusively during the workday, and then in the evenings they turn into public charging. So that way, when there's events and things, people can park here when we're not utilizing them. So that's also something that I would hope that we're looking into as well.
It absolutely, we absolutely are. And, you know, that's the conversation that we had around the office today, because like I said, the first administrative vehicle is going to be here. So now we have to figure out how we're going to charge our vehicle. So I'm glad you're asking these things, because these are the things that we're thinking about. So I'm glad that it aligns with what we're thinking.
I just have to, we're thinking about it at my day job all the time. So I thought I'd throw.
What was that work day? Would you say?
So you do a dual purpose. So when you have workplace charging for your employees
Yeah.
and places for them to charge their cars, they charge from 8 to 5. And then you have a sign that says after 5 o'clock, then it becomes public charging.
Oh, perfect.
So then the public, when there's an event downtown or something, they can use it for public charging. They come to.
They come to a council meeting, they can charge.
All right, that's all I had. Thank you so much. Thank you. And that was just informational, correct? Yep. Okay.
It was a good report.
All right, it looks like Menjel's on again for item number 10, authorization to negotiate a contract for the audit, design, and construction of energy-related projects at city-owned facilities. Yes. Oh, did we miss public comment?
Public comment for an informational.
Yeah,
item.
okay, please do. Is there any public comment for that item? Sorry.
I was just listening to the presentation, and I just had a couple questions, and they may have already been answered, so I apologize if I'm repeating it. But I was just looking at the types of chargers that were presented. There was 2 different types, and I just didn't know if there were studies that had been conducted to determine which chargers would be best in specific locations. And also wanted to know if not the fast chargers, but the other ones, the D2s, I guess, if
The level 2.
the level 2 chargers, if those can be easily like switched over to the extended chargers later on down the line, just thinking that, just to decrease the amount of wait time for the public, they're going to want to go quickly and charge and maximum charge. And then I also had a question about if there has been any health and safety reports, looking at any health issues that may be associated with people being exposed to continuous charging of this level, because there was one map that showed like at least 6 different charging station areas really consolidated together. And it just, to me, it just looks a little concerning to have that, just because you can't see that energy being used. We know that there are things going on with molecules and things like that. So I just didn't know if there was anything that was looking at that. And then I also had a question about maintenance issues, how, if there's a maintenance schedule for these things, and how often or what the cost is to maintain them. And also if there are like numbers for individuals to be able to call if they're charging their car and there's a problem. Like when you go to a vending machine and you have a problem getting the item out, there's a little number you can call. And then I think you answered something about how the charging rate came up. But in terms of the charge that you're making for the rates, how often will that be looked at? Like, how will you implement increases for that, and how will the public be notified about that? Thank you.
So there's a lot there.
Yes.
Some of these are probably they might be longer questions that staff might have to answer offline, but we can do a quick answer for some of them.
Yes,
Like if I was trying to write them down, so we'll see if
Yeah.
we can remember all of them.
Or we
Well,
can
yes,
just
but-
refer,
Or if
we
you,
can
wa-
just
if you
refer
want to, we can also get your contact information and give you those
Yeah.
answers directly.
That way
happy
she can
to-
have all the attention, she may have follow-up questions and so forth, but with that number of questions, it might be the best use of time.
Okay.
And for hers and for staff to give her the opportunity to have that direct conversation.
Okay, sounds great. I will say that there are they do have ways of knowing whether you should put a level 2 or level 3 based on how long people tend to be doing something at that location. So it takes about 30 minutes to get an 80% charge for a level 3, and it takes a lot longer for a level 2. So if you're just going in the grocery store or something like that, then that's probably 30 minutes. But if you're going to be hanging out all day at work, so that kind of stuff.
Her questions can't be picked up, so we can't have you speak from the audience, we can't pick it up for the recording, sorry. It's
So
just,
there is a lot of data that the state has, so that's what they're using, but Menjo can get you more specific information.
I'm happy to give you my information. We can speak offline about this.
Yep. And it's not that easy to switch from a level 2 to level 3, I will say, because if there's the energy amounts. So, but we'll have to see how things go. A lot of the level 3s tend to be private entities. There's not as many, because it is quite costly to install them. So we tend to have more level 3s, but go ahead. Yep. Okay. Okay, is there any other public comment? We do have one. No, you're just getting up. Perfect. Okay, sounds good. Okay, yep, one more.
Madam Mayor, council members, Dustin Yu here. The mentioning of positioning, one of them, I don't have any connection to this comment, but somebody mentioned the U lot. And then we had talked about the Tesla chargers at the bowling alley, the amount of charges they get, the income that come from that. But then I have the confusion on, I thought that because the city is not a business, we can't get a profit off of it. So then our positioning would be more beneficial to the city, placing them near commerce, or I'm confused on that point.
You do get tax revenue from the sales of the electricity.
Okay, so
there
you
is-
get tax
get
revenue.
Both ways you can get.
We're not getting direct profit, but we get tax.
Just
revenue.
like we don't get any direct profit from anything, one selling anything in Old Town and downtown, we just get tax revenue. So both ways you could get.
So then wouldn't it benefit the businesses then for, instead of us planning for the drivers to have an easy on and off, I mean, ease as a secondary, more of let's put it where we can have profit to the businesses while people charge their cars?
And I would say both, because there's some people who aren't going to, and they'll just go to the bowling alley or go to Loomis anyway and skip us entirely. So I would say the ones who we want to have shopping, we'll put them in Old Town and downtown. For those who don't want to, it would be nice to have it close to the freeway so we can capture that tax revenue too.
I mean, I just had a thought as I was sitting here in the audience that Old Town is on the way up the hill and the bowling alley is on the opposite side. And since we're going to be putting improvements into Old Town, apparently, why not put them in Old Town? And the upper lot there, the U lot, doesn't get used a lot. This would give it notoriety for future use, is what I would think.
That may
But
work great.
just putting that in as comments on it.
Yeah, I don't
So-
know how much it'll cost to install in those areas. So that's another thing we have to think about too, is how much it would take to get the electricity there, the amount that we would need and the improvements that would need to get made. So I would assume that Public Works is going to do an assessment of all the different lots and figure out which ones are the best ones
Okay.
and also given the locations.
But that, my main question was the income on it, so that
Yeah,
clarifies it.
I would love for people to plug in while they shop. And then also if they're not going to, I'd love them to stop and give us their tax revenue for just sitting in their cars while they charge their cars too.
Okay, thank you.
I'll say this to the gentleman's last comment. There's an entire economic development strategy associated with putting in these chargers, along with location and necessity and needs and that sort of thing. So it's not just one aspect we look at, it's all encompassing, so.
Okay, are there any other public comments? Okay. Then we're going to move on to item number 10. The authorization to negotiate a contract for the audit, design, and construction of energy-related projects at the city-owned facilities. Is that Menjel? That's you?
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Menjel Dean, your Public Works Director. In conjunction with other staff, we bring for your pleasure this evening the authorization to negotiate a contract with the energy audit and design construction energy related firm. I guess the most important thing is what are we actually here to consider this evening? So starting at the beginning, during our September 11th meeting in 2023, council directed staff to formulate and request an RFP to solicit proposals for an RFP for energy services. In doing so, on October 27th of 2023 as well, staff released the RFP, and then we received the RFPs back in November of 2023. With that, we received 4 proposals from 4 very good companies, all very good. We received one from Veolia, one from Centrica, one from Siemens, and ultimately we received one from Schneider Electric, and there's a ginormous spider here. How did that happen? One from Schneider Electric, which is the recommendation from staff this evening. So through that process, what happened? Staff within the building and throughout the organization had the opportunity to review these. And while all 4 of these proposals were very good, very, very good, they have some things that they can offer the city of Auburn. We do believe that, and it was pretty much unanimous, that Schneider was the standout on this one. And it had more to do so with their development team and their understanding of the kind of organization the city of Auburn is. We are not necessarily the Placer Counties or the city of Roseville's. We're a very unique organization, and we have some interesting needs, not just solar, not just LED. And their technical staff was very versed in varying areas. So it was easy for us to make that decision. It wasn't just me. Every single person picked Schneider as the number one. What does this mean? So with this presentation tonight and staff making this request, we believe that this authorization will allow staff to sit down and speak with Schneider and put together a project that would benefit the city in a way that none of the others really would. And it's going to become essentially an a la carte type proposal where we'll look at the city as a whole, every single aspect. We're not just electrical stuff. We'll look at our HVAC systems, all of our systems, where we can get savings. Because ultimately what we would like to do is have whatever we select, and that will be council's decision, be able to pay for itself in the long term, right? And so we're trying to find ways so that we're not utilizing general fund dollars to necessarily do this, but more or less have these costs offset what we're trying to, some savings, I guess is what I'm saying. The reality is ultimately tonight, by selecting Schneider, this will allow council and the general public, because we still have to go through the 218 process for this. So we will bring this back at a public hearing at a future meeting. All this really allows is the city manager to negotiate a contract with Schneider Electric to do all aspects of this project. The current Public Works contracting code doesn't allow us to have them design the system, build the system, and then implement the system under the same contract. I'm sorry, under separate contracts. In order for us to do it, we would have to do this under the same contract. So tonight, we're not committing to any particular aspect of this. We're not committing to any particular dollar amount. All this really allows us to do is open the doors for Schneider Electric to take a look at everything the city has, and then we will bring it back to council for determination at that point. So with that, I guess the staff report had a lot of information about the laws and the rules and regulations. I think it's best to open it up to council so you can ask some questions now, and then I'll finish up and give you any additional information that you might need.
Councilman Holmes, do you have questions?
Yes, I went through this rather carefully, and I didn't see anything that stood out specifically about solar and photovoltaic system. But I gather from what you're saying that that could be included in this once we have an agreement, contract with the.
Absolutely, and thank you for that question. So you're 100% right. So when we're talking about energy and energy savings, we have to get out of the thinking that that's just related to solar systems and chargers and things of that nature. True energy savings incorporates water chain savings as well too, and different things like that. And that's why staff has selected Schneider, because they seem to have had the most experience in a broader area, if that makes sense. And yes, photovoltaic systems will be a part of this that we will look at. Whether we elect to go in that direction or not, that'll be determined by council at a later date.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Dallin Cavia?
I do have questions and sort of some comments on this. And I apologize in advance, it might be a little lengthy. I've already warned my colleague here to my left. I certainly see the absolute value in having an audit conducted so that we can determine what kind of efficiencies we can utilize that would get us the maximum savings and so forth. I'm all about saving money. This is really related to the actual contracting process, which is very separate and different for these kinds of energy saving activities. They're very different from other public works kinds of activities. And it's interesting for me because I think that the state of California was trying to make it streamlined, but what they really did was make it more difficult. Unfortunately, that oftentimes happens, right? And so as our public works director stated, it makes it tough for, actually the laws preclude a company from bidding just on one aspect of this. We can certainly do that. We could let a contract just for the audit, but then that would preclude that individual from participating in any subsequent process.
That is absolutely correct.
And so that's difficult. So, but what that results in for us, and I just, I know we keep talking about the fact that tonight we're just considering the authorization of the city manager to negotiate a contract with this company to do the audit, but it would also to do everything because you can't have separate contracts. You also cannot amend that existing contract. That's the other part that's really tough here because we talked about, and I think the city manager and I were talking when we talked with Gary as well, about this contract having to be a phased contract because when you go to negotiate it, in order to have one massive contract, you have to come up with some exorbitant amount of money not to exceed. We know, just based on information that's been provided to us earlier in the year and maybe last year as well, that some energy conservation projects could cost the city millions of dollars, $7 million. Now, that doesn't take into consideration the savings and all that other stuff. I'm just talking about dollars. So when we talk about establishing a contract, we're talking about an amount not to exceed something like $7 million. What staff are saying is that, and this is what really has to be orchestrated in the contract, this is a phased contract, and it's only, each phase can only be orchestrated once there's been a notice to proceed, which is a formal action that the city takes, the city council will take. So for example, we have the audit done, and then we know what the audit will be very comprehensive. It will suggest many ways, all ways, hopefully, that we can save energy and what all of those costs would be, the timeframes and everything. But before we are to move forward with any of that, we would come back to the city, not to amend the contract, but to actually say we're giving the city manager the notice to proceed on maybe just one project or 3 projects or no project. But when you come back with the contract, and this is what I just want the public to be very clear, is that it's going to have a huge number, but that is only because we can't do separate contracts or amend an existing contract. If we were to build a bridge in the city of Auburn, we could, because it's more than $1 million, we could go out to bid for the design, the architecture for that bridge. And then we would go out for another contract, or even the designer might even bid, but we'd go out for bid for the actual construction. In this instance, the auditor, the contract that has the audit for this energy, they wouldn't be able to bid on that construction part. So that's where it differs from regular public works projects. But even if that contract that will come before us, if this does pass tonight, says, not to exceed, and I don't know, Sean, you're going to have to figure that out, but it's going to be millions. I want to make sure the public understands that that does not mean that the city is going to spend anything.
Right.
That any project will have to come before us first. And I also want to make sure that the vendor understands that as well, because they're negotiating a contract with us for all of this. But this council, and that's what's been presented to us, will have that authority to determine which projects we wish to enter into. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there and say that for the purposes of the public, because I don't want people to be surprised or to think that we're committing to that kind of money until we've seen everything, right? So
I just a quick clarification on that. So the reason why many municipalities use the ESCO model is because it actually doesn't require you to spend any money at all, because you can use financing, and the way that it works is the amount of savings that you get on your electricity bill is greater than the amount that you would pay for your monthly cost of having that financing of that project or those projects. So even if we put $7 million on a contract, doesn't mean means that we probably actually spend $0. So that's the clarification, that like, it's just a formality, but this is a process that's regularly used by, it was used by ARD. It's been used by many other cities and schools, just as it's a way of financing something and using the savings on your energy bill to pay for your thing that you're purchasing.
So in terms of the contract as a mechanism to get where we're going or potentially going, Councilmember Dowden Calvillo is right. The dollar amount has to be set at the maximum amount, because if it's not, it's a ceiling, it's not a floor, right? So the ceiling is set at whatever that dollar amount is, and we'll have to figure that out. That doesn't mean that the city is obligated to pay that out of the general fund. In fact, we will not pay that out of the general fund. The whole idea of this process is for it to be either budget neutral or budget positive, right? Not budget negative. So it's either we break out even, or we actually save money, not spend extra money out of the general fund. I will not bring that back to you if that's going to be the case, because we don't have the money to do that. The idea of doing it all in one thing, though, makes it easier for us to get to the finish point of like, these are the projects that we're going to do. Council will have touch points all the way through there, right? The phases that you talked about. So we enter into the contract, bring the contract back, council approves the contract, we move forward. First phase is, here's the energy audit. The energy audit shows you should do X, Y, and Z, ABC, whatever that is. Council says, yes, we want to move forward with X, Y, and Z, but not A, B, and C. This is the dollar amount for all of that. We bring that back, that gets approved by council, and then we move forward with it. So there's discrete points where council is going to be making decisions, and the authority to do that rests with council, not with staff.
And my purpose again, and I know all of this fiscal analysis will be part of the audit and we'll have all the ESCO and all that information. But at the end of the day, for the public, I want to make it clear because they're not going to see all that or maybe understand that piece. They're going to see a contract that has a huge ceiling.
Yeah.
And so I just want to make it very clear that when we're authorizing that, we're not authorizing that any work be done. We all heard that, but that to expect a high ceiling, but that does not at all commit the city to any of it.
Right.
And I also just, I know our vendors here too. I just, it's also for the purposes of the vendor to understand that we're going through this phased approach. Our other option, of course, is to have a separate vendor do the audit and then a separate vendor to compete for the actual work that would be performed as a recommendation of the audit. But I recognize the fact that these audits are very comprehensive and it's not just designing something, for example, of the construction of a bridge. They're going into not only looking at everything and doing inspections, but they're digging into our finances as well. And so that makes it difficult for another company to come in and use that information because they weren't the ones that tallied that. And their cost may not be the same as the person who did the audit. You know, because technically speaking, I would rather go that route, but because of the complexity and the speciality of this kind of work, it doesn't make sense to do it in that traditional way. So I can support that, but I just, again, wanted to go on the record to say that I recognize this is going to be a huge amount as a maximum, but I don't want people to think that this is the commitment from the city. You know, we're talking about revenue neutral or so forth. But that's very important to me. I want to be incredibly transparent through this whole process because it is very complicated and difficult. The other thing is I just wanted to ask for an update on the solar projects because I believe that this council approved installation of solar at 2 locations, Courtyard and Police. Courtyard is done, is that correct?
So the Courtyard project, for all intents and purposes, is done. PG&E being PG&E, there is one small portion that's left on their end that is left to be done. However, we did not approve the PD.
Okay, so we just approved the Courtyard. The Courtyard was incorporated in the budget. right?
That's correct.
I thought that the PD because I thought I voted no.
No, we decided to put that, we decided to do this ESCO model instead, and then to try to make it revenue neutral rather than paying for it out of the general.
Good. Okay. Well, I think I missed that meeting. I think that was the one meeting I missed that we talked about that.
You were in Chamonix.
I was in Chamonix. There you go. I wasn't here. And so that's why I didn't. Thank you very much. So that's really, I don't have any other questions about it. I just, again, I wanted to be incredibly transparent for the public on this item. So thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, council members, for allowing me that opportunity to be so detailed. Thank you.
So if I can make a comment based off of that statement, council member, ultimately, the council and the public will be the driving force behind the project development. So you are right. We're going to come back with this enormous list of things that could be done. The council and the public is going to tell us the projects we're going to do. So I don't think we're going to see in a large number, not to worry. That's just if we had all the funds and all the staffing time in the world to do this, and then we'll make that a real project that we can actually accomplish within the city.
Is there going to be included some kind of ranking, or because it shouldn't just be even us or the public randomly picking, right? We should be looking at some cost effectiveness criteria and figuring out what are the best projects to do.
I will work very closely with the contractor to make sure that the project that is developed and the things that we bring before you, it's going to give you a level of detail that's going to make that decision easy for you to make.
And we're going to get it. The city manager's indicated that we're going to get that information soon. We're going to have more time to review that information when it comes. It won't just be the standard couple of days. That he's going to give us ample time, and the public will also have that additional time.
Yes.
Councilwoman Amari, you had a question?
Yes, I have a few. So I don't know if you wrote the staff report, Menjel, but I really like it. And I think the public.
Oh, then
should
I
read-
did write it.
And I, okay, then you like, no, and I appreciate your questions and I do like transparency but the staff report does lay it out very well.
Thank you.
I really, it gives the reasons and what we're trying to accomplish. There's probably 20 bullet points. Just excellent. And in the fiscal impact, it says that the initial phase, should we decide not to do the project, is at no cost to the city. So the initial phase of the project, the audit, will be rendered at no cost.
So I do want to speak to that.
That's only if we could proceed though.
So
That's if we don't.
the initial
If
phase
we-
would be at no cost to the city at all if we
If we do a project.
any kind of project and we build it into that. There is going to be some marginal cost. We would have to pay the vendor should we elect to do absolutely nothing. This is a significant amount of time and work that's going to go into this. And what that number is also going to be negotiated into the contract. So you'll be aware of that
Okay.
prior to any decision being made.
Okay. And so with your point, I think it's important then that we do pick a vendor that's excellent. And I'm defer to you in that. Your expertise. But I did have a few questions. I read actually all of the proposals here, and I thought they were all very excellent
Very
and
good.
top of the line. I appreciate the fact that some of them were a little closer. I know that, that Schneider does have a representative nearby, but I think they're based out of, Texas.
Snyder has offices in Sacramento as well.
Well, it's an office, but their headquarters is in Texas.
They're a large company, so yes, they have their headquarters maybe in Texas.
But anyway, so Menjel, my other concern though, some of the proposals were a little more specific in terms of completion of the project, which I know is important because we have that date. So which is April.
So,
of
and that's
26.
the other portion why I trusted Snyder's expertise on this, because the
tell me-
reality of this is that it's really challenging to say April, we're going to be done when we don't truly know what we're looking at. So Schneider's upfront and honesty about that kind of sold me, because it all's dependent on what portion of the project we do or what we look at, if we can be done in April. The reality is we're probably much further out in getting a true comprehensive look at the city that's actually going to save us money long-term. So
Yeah, well, our NEM 2, it's due by April of 26. So the complete project has to be completed. Is that right?
I have full confidence we would be able to get any solar portion of this project that we might elect to do completed prior to
You
2026.
can prioritize and.
Wait,
put
I'm
certain
just,
projects first.
I'll finish. Yeah, I understand you can prioritize, but I was looking at, just the audit, according to Schneider and many of them, that's 7 to 9 months.
So please keep in mind that we already have our applications into PG&E for any solar aspect of any of the projects that we have at any of our city facilities. So that eliminates a significant portion of time. And I'll say this.
For Schneider to come back?
Some of the other vendors already had that information because they may have used that they have known that in the past. Schneider did not know that because I did not give any additional information in regards to what we had with PG&E until we selected a vendor and we started moving things forward.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, I suppose. I just want to confirm with you that you feel confident enough, and I don't know if Schneider's here to answer questions. Oh,
I'm confident that we can get this done. Our telephone conversation that we had, we spoke
it
about.
was just a little unclear under your timeline as to whether or not the completed project can be done by April of 26. And I understand you can prioritize, but I also understand that there is a backlog in terms of equipment for solar. I don't know.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Rachel Torgerson, so I'm with Schneider Electric. Thank you for having me. And all very valid questions. This is a very complex process, scope, and development needs to be done properly to get the outcome that you guys expect and you deserve. Due to timelines, I have very little information on the scope that you plan to move forward or the objectives that the city has at this time. So I cannot make any promises that yes, will be done, but I don't even, when you say April, I don't know if that's this April, next April. I don't know what scope you're proposing. So
April of 26, because we qualify under the NEM too.
2026, April 2026.
2026.
yeah, so in regards to solar and construction, development and construction, when we have a construction or a project kickoff meeting, I will ask for any dates that, are mandatory, whether that be for grant funds, whether that be for, NEM, and making sure if you're going to do solar, let's make sure it pencils out, right? 2026, we have time to get an audit done. We have time to prioritize solar. We have time to build it with even other scope or ECM measures. 2026 is a very optimistic date, but yeah, I haven't even, aside from enjoying your city, stepped foot to do any sort of audits or anything like that, which is why they're very broad, general, and probably even conservative timeframes. I'd rather stand in front of you and not make any over promises and come back and be able to easily meet any deadlines than stand up here and say, yes, I certainly will, and have no idea what I'm even, promising you.
Okay.
So I hope that answers your question.
No, thank you. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it is.
Not at all. I
important.
like to talk.
Because to realize a financial
Of course.
opportunity for us, it has to be completed by that date. And so others and not to put anything, I'm happy that you're here to answer questions, and I trust staff that they understand the complexity and the importance of getting it under this timeline. So thank you. And you're on the record for that. Okay.
That's why I didn't want to make any promises.
You did. Okay. So that's important to me. So, and again, I'm very happy that, you vetted these, and I trust that you'll come through with a good product here and proposal for us.
So as you
So we
can
can save the
see,
city money.
I had a
and-
conversation with all the vendors, and I was most comfortable with Schneider being able to deliver the city something that could possibly work for us.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other Councilwoman Sierra Salmons, do you have any questions?
No, I do appreciate the report. I thought it was very detailed. And my fellow council members brought up some very good comments and valid concerns and questions. And but I'm confident in Mengel's decision-making, and I believe this process will work out. Looking forward to seeing progress.
Great, thank you. And then I'll just put in my little last comment is that I would hope that as part of this, I saw a little bit on commissioning, but commissioning and maintenance, I mean, for energy projects are kind of the key of making everything really pencil out. I've had so many energy projects that I've worked on where they just wanted to get done early and just forgot the commissioning, and then they didn't realize most of the savings they were trying to do. So I would hope that we would make sure that even though we may be trying to get things done quickly, that we're looking at commissioning, making sure the maintenance is done appropriately, so that way we can get those long-term savings and have the best turnout for the city.
You're absolutely right, Madam Mayor. And what we're really hoping to accomplish tonight is just give us the ability to open that dialogue with Schneider Electric so we can start talking about those very key things.
It really is that phase. It's the audit, it's the design construction, it's the implementation, and it's the ongoing maintenance. So it is really that phased.
It takes all pieces for this to work out right.
Absolutely.
Mhm. And it's good that the one who's promising is the one who's also delivering on the promise. That's why it's all together. in
And
one
that's
big
why
piece.
I'm
Single
okay in this instance, because
Yep.
otherwise I have issues. So.
Yep,
yeah.
we don't want someone promising and then somebody else having to say, oh, well, they were wrong,
That's
so we
right.
can't deliver what they said. So that's why it makes the most
Get
sense.
that all the time in the house construction.
All right, is there any other public comment on this issue?
I'm sorry. I apologize if if I didn't understand the answer already to this, but oh, my question was on, oh my gosh, now I'm forgetting what my question was. What was it on? Oh, just trying to understand for the public's sake, my sake, I'm part of the public. When you were talking about the ceiling, the amount, I guess, it's going to be on that contract, am I to understand that this particular contract is going to contract with Schneider and it's going to cover the audit and other services, but not just the audit? It could be like if there's 10 things that they find in their audit to make suggestions that we could benefit from, that we here in Auburn could decide to just do 2.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. That's what I want to understand.
And we're
Thank-
hoping that we won't even pay for those 2. We'll finance them and use our energy bill savings to pay for them over the long run.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Yeah, please do.
What's good, y'all? Victor Allen again. I was curious, are there any subcontracting opportunities for local vendors within this contract held by Snyder?
There's always opportunities, but that's going to be determined on the prime. The prime contractor can determine who they subcontract things from. And again, that's going to be dependent on what aspect of the project is selected by the public and the council ultimately. So we don't know yet.
So we may need a solar vendor, we may not, we may need an energy person, we may not, depends on what we decide to do. All right, any other public comments? Okay, seeing none, is there any other comments from the council?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Ready to make a motion? Okay, please.
Yes, I would make a motion based on the staff's requested action of number 1 and number 2. Do you want me to read it all?
No, that's fine.
Staff's recommended actions. Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Sarah Sammons.
Aye.
Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item number 11, the city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So a couple quick things. I think I reported on this before, but I'm not 100% sure. The city's wastewater treatment plant once again won the California Water Environment Association's Plant of the Year Award. So that Plant of the Year Award recognizes accomplishments in innovative practices, cost effectiveness, and superior plant performance. We've also won the Collection Systems of the Year Award. And we also won the Operator of the Year Award for the collection system. So Mayor Riddell Harris and I and Public Works Director Menjel Dean went to the awards ceremony last week and received those awards. We're going to have a presentation to the folks from the wastewater treatment plant on the next council agenda. I wanted to give a quick ARPA update. So American Rescue Plan Act update. Fair and Peers is wrapping up the research and analysis phase of the wayfinding master plan for downtown. They'll be presenting those findings to the city and the Downtown Business Association soon. And the Washington Plaza project in Old Town is moving along also. And we expect to have an engineer estimate for those costs by the end of this month. Staff has the Domes infill planning project RFP out and hopes to have several proposals back by the end of the month. I did want to call out and let council know, though, that staff's been advised that our grant funding for that project may be pulled due to state budget cuts. So
Partially.
partially
That's a-
pulled.
Yeah, the SACOG, that was a grant that came from SACOG. And right now there's discussions in the governor's office to pull 50% of the funding that hasn't already been reimbursed. So we had a $650,000 grant under Green Means Go. And so if the governor's proposal goes through, then we will lose 50% of that.
They actually increased it to 75% today. So yeah, so we would lose 75%, keep 25%.
We need to like make that
Yes.
a priority so that we can get, because we have to get reimbursed. It's
Right.
not just spent.
Right.
Oh,
So we're working on that.
thank you.
We forwarded the real estate listing for the Rite Aid building. So council knows that the Rite Aid building is closed now. Rite Aid owns the building and they're looking to sell it. So we forwarded a real estate listing for that to GSEC, to the Greater Sacramento Economic Council, to help cast a wider net for investors who are looking for a great property in the endurance capital of the world. We haven't had any real significant inquiries on the property since it was listed, though. Last but not least, two things. Fire department supported Auburn Hook and Ladder's 172nd annual roll call dinner on Friday night at the Elks Lodge. Fire chief says that about 90 people attended, including past and current firefighters, Auburn firefighters, local partners, special guests. I wasn't able to attend. I know that some of you made it though. So, and then also in the fire department, Captain Matt Gell was recently promoted to battalion chief, effective January 28th. And then we'll be doing a swearing in, or actually a badge pinning, I believe, for him and I think a couple other people at the March 11th council meeting. And then finally, Chief Canan talked about this, but the police department will be holding its swearing in ceremony tomorrow here at the council chambers, 10 a.m. And that's it. Oh, Thursday, February 22nd, we have the Mayor 4-Day General Plan Workshop at the Auburn Lions Host Building at the Gold Country Fairgrounds. If you want to go to that, you get free pizza, but you have to register ahead of time. So make sure to register for that. You can get the information on the city's website for that. I can answer questions if you have questions.
Any questions? Okay. I think we'll move on to council reports. Councilman Holmes, do you have anything to report?
Yes, a couple of things. I communicated again today with Congressman Kiley's office about the Station A situation, and am pressing that to see if we can get a comprehensive answer as to why the post office decided to close that without really an explanation. Also the City Arts Commission is looking at producing some kind of support for the DeWitt Theater, which is owned by the county. And I think the DeWitt Theater as a cultural thing for the Auburn area would be useful to have that reopened as a cultural arts location. And I did attend the Auburn Placer, the Placer County Air Pollution Control District board meeting, and there was more discussion about some of the grants that were mentioned earlier about getting some pollution reducing things going on here. So I plan to follow up with that with their staff and come back with maybe some proposals.
Thank you. Councilwoman Amara?
I don't really have much. I do appreciate Councilman Holmes following up with Station A. That's invaluable. If we can really get that back up. If you need any help, let me know. Yeah. And our traffic, the traffic committee was canceled, and I have some committees coming up. So that's, I don't have anything, basically.
Councilwoman Dowden Cobia?
Yes, so I've got SACOG and Pioneer both this week, and PCTPA is actually next week. But I did just want to report that I was appointed as vice chair for the policy committee at SACOG by the incoming chairman. And then I'm also the one of the 4 representatives on the mega region for SACOG, all these names, where we talk about issues with 3 other COGs in the Bay Area, mainly about transportation issues. Our last meeting, we talked about toll lanes, and as I mentioned, SACOG has approved really the first toll lane in Yolo County. It's Oh, and I thought I wrote it down here, but it's basically I-5 to the airport and then over the causeway. There's a proposed toll lane for that, and there's an authority that's been adopted. But we really kind of talked to the Bay Areas about COGS, about what difficulties they've had and usage and subsidies and all kinds of things. So it was very interesting conversation to have with them. The other thing that's different is that they don't have a real positive relationship with Caltrans, and we at SACOG do. In fact, we agreed to put a Caltrans member on our tolling authority board. So just a little bit different there. And other than that, like I've said, I'll be having those other meetings. I will be out of the office or out of town next week, February 21st to the 23rd, attending the League of Cities board meeting. That will actually be in Yosemite. Of course, just as a reminder, I am the Sacramento Valley Division's representative on the board of directors. And so all of my travel costs are paid for by the League of Cities, not by the city of Auburn, but I will be attending that board meeting. So thank you.
Councilwoman Sarah Sammons, do you have anything to report?
Just a couple of things. Last week, because now I'm starting to go to the committees and commissions that I was appointed to. Last Wednesday, I attended the Chamber of Commerce, Government Affairs, Economic Development Subcommittee. We had, which Councilman Holmes also went to. So we hear brief reports from the city of Auburn, basically gave them a summary of happenings from our January meetings. We had Bridget Powers representing Supervisor Gustafson in the Placer County, Rich Johnson representing the Placer County Planning Commission, and we also had Jocelyn Maddox and our wonderful Jonathan Wright representing the Auburn Economic Development Commission. So just a little bit of getting to know each other, catching up. And then I think I had mentioned, or maybe not, that I attended the most recent ARD meeting. They are moving forward with the pickleball, and they're very excited about that. I'm very happy that we were able to partner with them. And then coming up tomorrow, hopefully I'm getting a little bit better and don't sound as horrible. I'm planning to attend the Economic Development Commission. So there it be. There's my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, for mine, city manager stole a little bit of my thunder with the really fun time that we all had at the wastewater treatment plant awards dinner. They've won 10 times in a row. That's just so impressive. So we're gonna have them come in and give them a little bit of congratulations at a later meeting. The Hook and Ladder event was great. Chief Rogers did a great job presenting all of the awards and all of the service awards, and then also all of the folks who are moving into new positions. And then Matt Gell was awarded Firefighter of the Year, which was great. So we're going to bring him in, I think, at one of our later meetings as well. And then the planning meeting, the general plan meeting, make sure you tell all your friends and neighbors about general planning. It's not super exciting. Sorry, Jonathan. It's not super exciting to what people just think, but in the long run, it's super important. So try to get everyone super excited about pizza and going out and talking about what we think Auburn's going to look like in 20 years. And then we had a brand meeting where we were talking through the logo. So we're working on the logo, the new logo design. So that was pretty exciting. And then on Thursday, I have a Placer County Economic Development Board meeting. So that's all I have. Oh, city manager.
Just wanted to add one quick thing. Folks in the audience might not notice this, but this isn't Gary next to on my left side here. So thank you, Mackenzie, for filling in for Gary, who is out sick.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, Councilman Holmes.
Yeah, I do have something else that I should have mentioned, that I attended the League of Cities Mayors and Council Members Academy last week in Monterey. And it was a lot of refresher things that have gone on over the last few years that But what I thought was something that, I've talked to the city manager about reinstituting these, getting the harassment training for members of the city council and also our various boards and commissions, and also the identity, ethics program for each.
Yeah, I think we're very lucky. We've got a new city, our HR director who is
Yeah.
on top of all that for us. So that's great.
But I made a big mistake
Mm.
because I left there on Friday night and it took me
Oh, yeah.
about 6 hours to get anywhere near Auburn. So
Friday night. It's always rough.
At the chamber installation, where you, because it was that night.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. We're gonna adjourn and have a good Valentine's Day.